Tim Tebow was cut on the worst roster in the NFL by his best coaching friend ever at a position that's not really where you put your most talented people. His career is over. They sold some jerseys. It's smart business. He can't play, and let's be honest, it's a little bit of a distraction, especially in the South. The media is not always accurate. I would admit that. I mean, I classify as media. The media isn't always accurate, and the media sometimes there's a bias. I would admit that. I'm human. Sometimes I have confirmation bias. Something confirms what I want to be true. Of course, you have that too. Are you willing to admit that today? The media isn't always accurate, but they were 3-0 on Tebow. When the Denver Broncos defense and kicking game was winning games, the media said, dude can't play. We were right. When Tebow went to the Mets minor league system, guys like me said, it's a shtick. He can't play. He couldn't, and the Mets later admitted it was really a thing to sell tickets. And when he went to the Jags, we said, it'll sell some merch. It's very close to where he played college football. Even on a bad team, he is not close to an NFL tight end. And we were right, too. I mean, good God, Michael Jordan's the best basketball player probably ever. He took 2 years off, came back, rusty, lost in the second round, was a shadow of himself. That's Michael Jordan. Tim took 8 years off and changed positions. But what Tebow really is, and has been for a long time, is a great example of a real problem in America, that people no longer want the truth. They just want their version of the truth. You conservatives go to one channel, you liberals go to the other. You don't want the truth. You want your version of it. Little reminder that 99.5% of people currently on ventilators in hospitals in America are unvaccinated. Sorry if that doesn't connect with your Reddit board info. Belichick cut Tebow. Belichick's close friends with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer cut Tebow. He didn't want to do that. The Mets really wanted this to work. They really did. He hit .223 against Double-A pitching. Listen, this is what we have in America. Everybody wants to point fingers. You have an agenda. You have an agenda. Nobody ever wants to look in the mirror and acknowledge they too have one. It's not an agenda when the other side is right. COVID is not the flu, and Tebow can't play professional sports. The agenda is not those ripping Tebow. And let's be honest, the criticism is usually soft-pedaled because he's a nice guy. He's hard not to like, but he got this tryout for one reason: privilege. Nobody quits a sport 8 years later, gets an opportunity, like nobody ever. It was a little privilege, and it didn't work, and Urban Meyer's a businessman too, probably foremost, and he let him go. But Tebow's fans have always pointed fingers, always done that. It's time to go to the bathroom. Those mirrors still work. We just don't like to use them anymore. Tebow's not a pro athlete. He was never a pro athlete. He's a workout fanatic who's slow, bulky, was never a pro athlete in America. He's a Saturday athlete. He's not a Sunday athlete. You can go into any Gold's gym in America and find a dozen Tim Tebows. They're probably just not as nice as Tim. It's over. It should be. And let's talk about Trevor Lawrence from this point forward. That's the future of the Jags. So we all knew, we talked a lot about when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick separated. You know, who won the divorce? There's no reason to rub it in. I think we know who won the divorce. But do you think if you asked them privately, I saw there's a new book out talking about the Patriots dynasty. They're doing a lot of talking about the old days. Brady, it seems, is now winning in the current days. One's looking through the windshield. One keeps glancing back through the rearview mirror. That's what losers often do in a divorce. Is there a franchise right now in the NFL that has a worse quarterback situation than New England? Houston, Philadelphia, maybe Denver. Not Washington. Ryan Fitzpatrick's better than two alternatives right now. Frankly, he is. You have Cam, a former playmaker who's beat up physically in a shell of his former self. And then you have a kid with a low ceiling who's not really ready to play. We know that, but he may instead Mac Jones. Let's be honest now. Bill Belichick, before Brady and after Brady, is now 62-71 with a single playoff win. And New England's quarterback situation doesn't even make sense. Cam's a playmaker. Mac Jones is non-athletic. At least in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield's the starter, in case Keenum is sort of a poor man's version of Baker Mayfield. That makes sense. Don't have to change the offense when he comes in. In Buffalo, Josh Allen's obviously the starter, but Mitch Trubisky's also very athletic. That makes sense. New England's quarterback situation doesn't even make sense. Old, beaten-up guy who's erratic, not very accurate, and a playmaker, and a guy who's the opposite. Yeah, it's harder than they thought. And now in the division, Buffalo has a significantly better quarterback situation and a roster. Miami has a steadier quarterback situation currently and a better roster. And the Jets have an outstanding GM who is in the last two drafts proven he's better at drafting the college players than Belichick is. Boy, did Tom Brady pick the perfect time to exit. He looked maybe at Buffalo's emergence. He knew how good Brian Flores would do down in Miami. He watched the previous 2 or 3 or 5 drafts with New England, tired of the arrogance of the system. I have no idea who's starting for New England, and that in itself is a huge problem. I'm not sure New England right now knows who's starting for New England. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.